When my mother remarried, she decided to take my twin sister and left me behind without any second thoughts. For many years, she never bothered to reach out or check on me. She simply walked away. Then, after I had established myself, she re entered my life, berating me for being an ungrateful child on social media. I felt nothing, perhaps a bit amused. Mrs. Clara, I thought, you can't just say whatever you want. When I was 8 years old, my father had an accident at a construction site. He fell from a height and didn't survive long enough to reach the hospital. Shortly after, my mother took the compensation money from the site and remarried. As she was leaving, she signed a document relinquishing custody of me and agreed to give me up for adoption, coldly pushing me toward my grandmother in the countryside. Grandma, take Emma. I'm taking Mia. If it's too much, just find someone else to care for her. She said she would raise Mia well enough to care for me in the future. Then she walked out the door, pulling a suitcase in one hand and my sister in the other, without looking back. My father had just passed away, and now my mother was leaving me too. I felt like I was sinking, desperately holding on to hope. I chased after her, red-eyed, crying out, "Mom, Mom, please don't leave me." My mother was about to get into a taxi when she turned at my voice. She hesitated seeing me plead, but before she could say anything, my sister, who looked just like me, tugged at her hand and cried, "Mom, maybe let me stay. I'm not doing well in school, and Grandma can't teach me properly. I'll waste my life away. I do well in school. I might have a better future. I don't want to leave you either." With those words, all my mother's doubts vanished. She pulled my sister into the taxi decisively. "Emma, from now on, you don't have a mother. Let Grandma find you new parents." My sister was always sweet-talking and pleasing our mother. On the other hand, I was seen as the average child with little potential. I was like a pet that could be given away. Choosing Mia over me seemed like the best investment to my mother. As the car drove off, my sister waved from the window, acting all innocent. Mom didn't want to leave me, and I didn't want to leave either. "Sorry, sis." I stood there, watching the taxi disappear. I wished the car would turn around, and Mom would hug me and say she had no choice, that she wanted to take me too, even if it was a lie. But nothing happened. The car didn't return, and Mom never looked back. When it got dark, I staggered back to Grandma's house. That night, I came down with a fever, mumbling for my mom. Grandma dialed my mother's number, but it was disconnected. In desperation, Grandma held me, using warm towels and giving me water. She stayed up all night, and only when dawn broke did my fever subside. Watching Grandma, who had stayed up all night for me, I sniffled, feeling guilty. "Grandma, am I really a burden? Is that why Mom chose Mia over me?" Grandma lovingly stroked my hair and comforted me. "Silly child, that's not true. Your mom just didn't see?" I asked carefully, my eyes wide. "Grandma, will you send me away too?" Those few seconds felt like forever until Grandma firmly said, "No, Emma, I'll always take care of you." In the days that followed, the word mother was blank in my life. I transferred to a local school, and Grandma cared for me by working as a nanny during the day and doing handiwork at night to support me. Life was tough, but Grandma's love made me feel more cherished than before. I focused on studying, and my grades started to improve. Back then, my average performance was because Mia was in training classes while I did chores. At night, Mia went to bed on time, but I stayed up late helping Grandma at her food stall. Lack of sleep made me doze off in class, struggling academically. Mom was always biased. Even though my twin sister and I looked identical, she favored Mia. My mother was superstitious, believing the child who called out Mom first would be the smartest and most devoted. I called Dad first. Mia called Mom. From then on, Mom focused on Mia. Mia lived up to it, being eloquent and a decent student, while I was just the petty older sister. One incident stands out vividly. After Mom left, Mia sneaked into Mom's room, trying on her jewelry and using her makeup like she always did. I didn't pay much attention until a few days later when Mom found her jade bracelet broken in half. Enraged, she stormed into our room. "Who broke my bracelet?" I knew that jade bracelet. My mother always treasured it. It was said to be passed down from my great-grandmother to my grandmother, and then to my mother. Mia had been in my mom's room. I instinctively looked at her. Before I could say anything, Mia brought a washboard, knelt on the ground, and sincerely said, "Mom, I'm sorry." It was my sister who accidentally broke it. She asked me to cover for her. So I didn't tell you, Mom. Don't blame her. She knows she was wrong. She didn't mean to. Mia, you're lying. It was you who secretly went into Mom's room. I barely got halfway through my sentence before a loud slap cut me off. I could feel my cheeks swelling instantly, hot and painful. Covering my face, I looked at my mom in disbelief. Tears welled in my eyes, but I stubbornly refused to let them fall. My mother's face was flushed with anger, and she blurted out, "Emma, get a grip. Your sister knows how to help. Why can't you? All you do is throw mud at your sister. Aren't you a little old for that? Have some dignity." I told you I didn't do it. Mom, am I not your child too? Can't you believe me even a little? I shouted, teeth clenched. My face hurt, but my heart ached more, feeling so wronged. This is my own mother. Why does she treat us so differently when we're both her daughters? Mia continued kneeling there, looking pitiful with tears in her eyes. Mom, don't be angry. You can blame me. Just don't be mad at my sister. She paused, then looked up at me, seemingly trying to console me. Sis, don't upset Mom. So, Dad is busy working away, and Mom's been raising us both so hard. I scoffed. Mom works hard, so I have to take the fall for you? You did something wrong, and you still say this. Don't you feel guilty? Enough. Is this how you act as a sister? I trust Mia more than you, my mother declared, like a final verdict. No matter what I said, she preferred to believe Mia. She helped Mia up from the ground and, pointing at the washboard, ordered me, Emma, you're not sleeping tonight. Kneel here and reflect. Knowing it was futile to explain, I didn't bother to argue anymore. I stood there motionless. My mom probably got angrier at this, forcibly pressing my shoulders to make me kneel on the washboard. A child's strength is no match for an adult's. I didn't say you could get up. Don't move. Mia, keep an eye on your sister for me. With that, my mother left in a huff. Mia shrugged, happy with herself, and called after my mom's back, Mom, I'll talk to my sister again. She knows she was wrong that night. I really did kneel there the whole night. There were many memories like this. For example, when dividing apples, Mia would always generously give me the big, nice one and keep a smaller one for herself. My mother saw this and always praised Mia for being considerate, but the outcome was always the same. The big apple for Mia, the little one for me. I'm capable of those little tricks, but I just refuse to do them. Maybe if I had acted like Mia and pretended to be sweet, Mom would have favored me a bit more. But she's my mother. Should I have to put on an act to get better treatment? If that's the kind of love I get, then I don't want it. At 16, I got into a prestigious high school in the city with excellent grades. Grandma moved from the countryside with me to the city. On the day I received the acceptance letter, I hugged Grandma joyfully. Grandma, I'm in the prestigious high school now. Once I get into college, I can earn money, and you'll live comfortably with me. Grandma smiled widely. I thought life would get better, but it seemed like fate enjoyed messing with me. Just when things were going smoothly, unexpected events always dropped out of nowhere. Grandma was hit by a motorcycle on her way to work as a housekeeper for an employer in the city. Her spine was severely fractured, and she was taken to the hospital. We had no other adults in the family. It was just Grandma and me. When the teacher came to inform me, I was in evening self-study. I covered my mouth and left the classroom, and only outside the school gate did I dare to cry out loud, running desperately to the hospital. I was terrified, afraid that the accident that killed my father when I was young would replay in my life. I was so scared that after taking my dad, God now wanted to take Grandmama away too. When I arrived at the hospital, I found out the motorcycle driver who hit Grandma had run off. Back then, street surveillance wasn't perfect, and no one captured the driver. The employer Grandma worked for, upon knowing she needed surgery, didn't want to be responsible. They left Grandma $200 and vanished. Emma, I'm okay. Go get a ride. We can go home. I don't need surgery. Grandma lay weakly on the hospital bed, forcing a smile. Tears streamed down my face as I shook my head desperately. I knew well how tight money had been at home. Grandma's job as a housekeeper barely covered my tuition and living expenses. Moving to the city drained nearly all of Grandma's savings. $20,000 for surgery might be nothing for other families, but back then, it felt like a huge burden on me. I can't remember how many people I begged or how many bows I made that night. I searched for every nurse, doctor, and even the hospital director, pleading with them to allow Grandma to have surgery first. But hospitals aren't charitable institutions. The director only agreed to give Grandma conservative drug treatment and told me to hurry home to raise the money. It was during this time that I saw my mother again after so long. I made countless calls before learning my mother's number and address from a woman who was close to her. How ironic. A child needing to find her own mother had to get help from someone else. I called my mother, and when she picked up, I barely got out, "It's Emma," before the call ended. How much does she hate me? She probably figured I was only calling because I needed something. Honestly, if it weren't for Grandma, I wouldn't reach out either. But right now, I'm stuck. I took the overnight bus and arrived at my mother's place early the next morning. Mia opened the door. After 8 years, she'd grown into a beautiful young woman. Every strand of her hair seemed perfectly taken care of. Her long black hair was pinned with a pink hairpin and fell neatly over her shoulders. She wore a clean white dress with cute little leather shoes. Meanwhile, I was in a plain blue and white school uniform and a basic ponytail. After an all-night bus ride, I was a mess. She took a moment to recognize me, her face showing surprise. "You're Emma? What do you want?" The contrast between us was painfully clear, but I didn't care. I was desperate. "Grandma got hit by a car. She needs surgery and I don't have the money. I was hoping you want money?" "How is this our business?" Mia interrupted coldly. "She's your grandma too. She's our father's mother. Mia, you can't have forgotten how she held you. Loved you when we were kids." I couldn't help but yell. Mia didn't budge, just called back inside. "Emma's here for money." My mother poked her head out of the bedroom, still half asleep, and shot me a lazy look. "I don't have cash. Your dad's been gone for years now. Your grandma's got nothing to do with me." For the first couple of years after my mother left with Mia, I had nightmares about her. In those dreams, I kept asking her, "Mom, why did you abandon me? Why did you choose Mia over me? Do you really hate me that much? Am I even your real child?" Mom never answered me. I just kept running after her, not stopping, until I woke up with a soaked pillow. Over time, the dreams faded. I'd sometimes forget that I even had a mother. Snapping back to reality, I took a deep breath and looked at my mother deadpan. "Maybe Grandma's not your problem anymore. But what about Dad's insurance money? That was meant for Grandma and me. You owe us. Raising your sister didn't come free. I spent that insurance a long time ago. Now get lost. It's too early for this nonsense," my mother signaled Mia. "Now get lost. It's too early for this nonsense," my mother signaled Mia. And in a second, the door slammed shut. "Grandma really needs that money for surgery. Can't I just borrow it? $20,000, just $20,000. I'll pay you back, I promise." I kept knocking, begging at the door, but nothing. "Mia, she's your grandma too. She's our blood." "Mom, I'm begging you, I'll get on my knees and bow. Please help. I wouldn't be here if I had any other option." I sobbed, kneeling outside, hitting my head against the door. But nothing could shake their stone-cold hearts. My mother called security on me, claiming I was harassing them to get me thrown out. Hearing her harsh words from the other side, I lost hope. "Mom, this is the last time I'll call you that. Goodbye for good." On the bus ride back, deep down, I felt empty. I even considered doing something drastic to get the money. School was out of the question. At the hospital, the doctor told me someone had paid for Grandma's surgery and hospital stay. Grandma was already in surgery. I rushed over to find a slim figure in the same blue and white school uniform. As I got closer, the girl turned her face, and I recognized her. Sophie, our class art student. She gave me a wink. "Don't get all emotional. I was here with a stomach bug yesterday and saw you begging for help. Just wanted to make sure you didn't pass out from crying." Her small favor was paying over $20,000 for Grandma's surgery. A classmate, someone not even close to me, came through when my own mother wanted me gone. "Thanks, Sophie." Words couldn't express my gratitude. I owed Sophie big time. No matter what happened later, even if no one understood Sophie, I always had her back. After the surgery, Grandma recovered and was discharged. It took 100 days to heal, and she couldn't work, making our lives tight on money. Thank God for Sophie. I tried to refuse her help, but she'd laugh it off every time. You're smarter than me. I'm just a slacker. Future me is counting on you to make money and take care of me. During that time, we became best friends. Her parents had divorced last year and basically left her to fend for herself with some cash. So she had money, but no love. Sophie's grades were bad, so I tutored her, pushing her to improve. She didn't care much, though. Our teacher disliked her and warned me to stay away or I'd be dragged down. For the first time, I went against my teacher's advice. Without hesitation, I said, "She's my best friend." Through 3 years of high school, I kept top grades, always at the top. Sophie's grades never changed. She was always at the bottom, and our teacher kept her in the last row of the classroom. If I don't get into college, I'll just pick up trash, Sophie joked, not really bothered. Even though she didn't listen, I still insisted on tutoring her with patience. Just before the college entrance exam, Sophie got caught by our teacher playing on her phone in the dorm. The teacher scolded her harshly, saying, "You're always on that phone. You'll never amount to anything." Sophie didn't care, and after a big argument, she stormed out of school. She didn't even bother to take the college entrance exam and didn't come to our farewell dinner either. A classmate advised me, "Emma, hanging out with someone like Sophie, who doesn't care about studying, won't end well for you." Yeah, she even dares to argue with a teacher. I've never seen such a brazen student. Ha, while we're in college, she'll probably be somewhere collecting trash. Friends were gossiping all over. I slammed my chopsticks down and left the table. No wonder Sophie doesn't want to come. Your mouths are just too toxic. I'm about to suffocate from your negativity. Next time, remember to rinse your mouths out before you speak. After leaving the gathering, I found Sophie at a motel near the school. She was lying on the couch with her phone, looking relaxed. "Sophie, without taking the exam, what are you planning to do?" I brought her grilled chicken drumsticks that she likes and handed them to her. She shrugged and gave a wry smile. "My parents haven't sent me any money for a while. Even if I did get into college, they wouldn't pay for it, so it doesn't matter." I understood her. She seemed carefree, but must have felt terrible. I went through something similar as a child, feeling abandoned by my parents. I knew how it felt. I hugged her without saying a word. "Sophie, you helped me before. Now it's my turn to look out for you." After checking out of the motel, I helped Sophie pack her clothes and books from the dorm and took her to the apartment I shared with my grandma. "From now on, this is our home. My grandma is your grandma too, okay?" "Okay." Sophie laughed cheerfully. Grandma even bought groceries and cooked us a big dinner. While eating, Sophie shared her plan. "I'm thinking of making short videos." Sophie was a dance student with great looks and a good figure. She was good at singing and dancing. She wanted to start a TikTok account, posting dance videos to gain followers and earn through ads and live streams. Since the exams were over and we were just waiting for results, of course, I supported my best friend in her new endeavor. Upon hearing our plan, Grandma cheerfully raised her hand, offering, "You need a role for an old grandma? Count me in." Sophie and I almost burst into laughter. Sophie sent me several popular accounts to study their videos. I noticed many were scripted, but the ones with unique features and relatable content, especially about family life, seemed to engage fans a lot. Sophie launched an account with the three of us as main characters. I was in charge of content planning. Our account, featuring a 60-year-old grandma and two 18-year-old granddaughters, dancing and sharing their daily lives, began gaining attention slowly but surely. A month later, I got accepted into a top local university. On the day I received the acceptance letter, our TikTok account blew up. Followers skyrocketed, and ad offers flooded in. For days, our account was everywhere on TikTok. And even those classmates who advised me to distance from Sophie kept calling us, wanting to be part of our videos. Sophie didn't bother with them and blocked their numbers. After school started, things got hectic. Sophie and I formed a small team for our video production and set up a studio. We hired people for filming and editing, though I still handled content planning. One account wasn't enough, so we started a second one. Not gonna lie, during that time, we were making money faster than we could count. Then an unexpected visitor showed up, my mother and my twin sister. When she saw me, my mother greeted warmly, "Emma, I can't believe you've done so well." "I saw your account. It's so popular." Out of politeness, I didn't shut them out. "Hey sis, mom's talking to you." "Why the cold shoulder?" Mia pouting complained. Get to the point, I said, not wanting to waste time. Emma, you're making so much now. You shouldn't just spend it on yourself. Mom and your sister are your family too. Shouldn't we get to enjoy some of it with you? My mother said with a forced smile. Yes, sis, I just got into college too. Since mom and uncle divorced, things have been tight. Can you support me, please? Mia chimed in. How much do you want? I asked plainly. Mia and my mother exchanged a look, eyes filled with greed. The more, the better. How about starting with 500,000? I almost laughed at how shameless a pretty girl could be. Before I could say anything, Sophie behind me started sweeping at invisible dust with a broom, muttering, "Excuse me, I'm cleaning here. What a mess. So filthy." Pretending to sweep dust, Sophie unceremoniously shooed them out the door. My mother and Mia, shut outside, weren't giving up easily. You can't be so heartless, sis. No matter what, you came from mom. Treating her like this isn't right. Mia banged on the door, shouting from outside. So, when you say you're being considerate, does that mean I'm just your ATM? 500,000? Really? You think it's that easy just to ask for that kind of money? If you're so filial, why don't you give your mom 500,000? I couldn't help but want to snap at her. Emma, I had someone calculate it. Your ad revenues from that account far exceed 500,000. I haven't asked you for more. I heard my mom yell from outside. Exactly. You earned so much and you won't give up just $50,000? Sis, you're so stingy, my sister chimed in. Both of them kept at it, taking turns dissing me from outside the door. I couldn't be bothered to argue, so they just got worse, shouting insults about how ungrateful I was and calling me heartless. Even though I've stopped caring about motherly love or sisterly bonds, their harsh words still stung. Sophie came from the kitchen with some sliced cantaloupe and pulled me to sit on the couch with her. Chill out and have some cantaloupe. Think of those words outside as just two birds chirping away. Her joke got me smiling. Thankfully, Grandma was out of town today. She definitely would have been upset at this mother-daughter duo. There's this ancient drama that's really popular right now. The lead guy is so handsome. I'd totally marry him, Sophie said, turning up the TV volume to drown out the noise outside. We just laid back on the couch, watching the show. By the time an episode finished, the yelling had finally stopped. Wow, Auntie, you're still here? Talk about persistence? Sophie whispered through the peephole. Outside, my mother and sister were leaning against each other, catching their breath. Hearing Sophie, my sister Mia jumped up. Sis, I'm your own flesh and blood, and Mom's your actual mom. You're throwing us out into this heat for just $50,000. You're so cruel. My mother sat there on the sidewalk looking angry. Emma, leaving with your sister was the right choice since the beginning. You had no heart from the start. That's why I chose her over you. Sophie shot back. Wow, Auntie, you've got guts. You didn't want Emma back then, so why pretend now that you care? She's just a daughter you tossed aside. If you want money so much, ask your other good daughter. My mother was momentarily speechless, then finally said, Emma, are you really not giving us the $50,000 today? Just leave. I'm not your cash machine. I raised such a wonderful daughter. Emma, wait and see. Being so heartless, karma won't be on your side. Leaving those words behind, my mother and Mia left. I breathed a sigh of relief, not giving much weight to my mother's harsh words, though I underestimated their drama capabilities. A month later, a TikTok account called Dear You the Original was gaining followers quickly. The star, Mia, who looked strikingly like me, was shedding fake tears, claiming to be the real me on the account. With us being identical twins, it wasn't a shock she could mimic me closely enough to fool strangers. They kicked me out of our trio for profit and replaced me with my cheap twin sister to pretend in the account. As our account's popularity grew, her followers soared. Every video had her looking heartbroken and pitiful. She'd been honing this act of feebleness and distress forever. If I didn't know better, I might have fallen for her crocodile tears too. In some videos, my mother made a cameo. They're twins after all, born from the same womb. They're both my flesh and blood. But my eldest daughter is so ungrateful. Even watching her sister get bullied, she didn't help. Instead, she joined the bullies my mother lamented. She showed old photos of me and Mia as kids. Look, they're identical, but my eldest never did well in school and kept to herself. I never liked her, but I didn't expect her betrayal now. My mother never liked me, and after her earlier outburst, I found her video allegations almost laughable. Sophie, however, was furious, ready to smash her phone. I stopped her. Sophie, it's our phone you'd be smashing. It's not worth it over these false claims. With a dark look, Sophie was fuming. They're twisting everything. Do you know our account's been reported multiple times by haters today? Our followers dropped by the thousands. Logging into our video account, it was full of nasty messages. I followed you guys forever, loved your vids, but turns out you're all fake. Cruel team, ready to throw people away once they're no longer needed. All that for a bit of cash, turning your back on mom and sis? What kind of monster are you? Didn't you see how heartbroken your sister looks? Scumbag. And more, even worse comments. Even our office phone kept ringing off the hook with concerned fans defending Dear You. I told our team to unplug the phones for the time being, to stop checking TikTok messages and comments, out of sight, out of mind. That evening, Sophie and I went live on our account to clear things up, explaining that I'm the real Dear You, and the other account was just clout chasing. But there was no changing minds. People already believed Mia's and my mother's side of the story. Our live just invited even more hate. 6, are you guys trying to make fools of us? Finding a fake can't replace Dear You? We won't buy it. Block and report them. After ending the live stream, Mia called. Even over the phone, I could hear the smugness in her voice. Emma, regretting now? My mother and I are going to grab that $50,000 with this traffic ourselves. But if you're willing to leave Sophie's account and work with us, maybe I'd think about giving you a high-paying job. Yeah, right. I hung up without hesitation. A fake is always a fake. She isn't the real Dear You, just pulling off tearful acts for sympathy without real talent and content planning. Her account has no soul. It won't last. Taking this time off, I gave our overworked team a long break. I also asked for a 2-week vacation from school to take Grandma and Sophie on a trip. TikTok kept showing me beautiful, evergreen places in the South, and Sophie had been dreaming of going. With the studio busy as usual, we couldn't find the time, but now we could relax and enjoy without any work stress. In the evening, Sophie and I sat on a terrace, lost in the view of the lake across from us. The breeze is just perfect. Emma, you scheming something big? Our account's getting roasted online. Sophie sighed, logging off the account. I told you not to check our account. You don't seem worried at all. Sophie squinted at me suspiciously. I was a little worried until Mia's call. That's when I realized it's them who lack confidence. Just wait. I turned Sophie's face back towards the sea, reminding her, we're here to have fun. Enjoy the view first. 2 weeks later, after plenty of fun, I logged back onto TikTok. There weren't as many brainless hate messages, and even Dear You the Real account kept posting that Dear You just keeps copying your old videos, nothing new or interesting. When are you coming back? Was Dear You your planner? Why are there only crying videos on her account? Where's the interesting content and dialogue? I kind of think that Dear You might be the real fake. I checked out Dear You's real account. Besides the early sympathy-seeking crying videos, the new ones didn't do well at all. Lots of negative reviews. It's time to get back to work. So I called the team back. Our account was active again. The script was something I worked on during some downtime. Same trio, Sophie, Grandma, and me. The video was a hit. Wow, my favorite account is back. This is the real trio. My favorite is Grandma. She's seriously too adorable. This is Dear You level planning. Who's the trash pretending to be the real Dear You? I kept all this from Grandma, not wanting to upset her, but she sees right through us. Tonight's video had her adding a line as an Easter egg. You fake! Reveal yourself already. No. We shared behind-the-scenes footage from previous projects, clips of Sophie and me hustling for studio locations and poring over scripts late at night, plus moments of us celebrating birthdays and going on trips, mini snaps by Grandma. The caption read, "Don't taint the friendship Sophie and I share. As time passes, we stay united." We rolled out several more videos in a row. Our follower count soared, and a few hit TikTok's trending list. It's the same vibe as the original trio. The real Dear You is just a fake. I can't believe I fell for Dear You's crying act. You are just a fake. I can't believe I fell for Dear You's crying act. Shame on me. Dear Yu's account didn't have many followers left. Her new videos got nothing but hate. Not saying anything, sticking to making great content might have been the best way to clear our names. Some people never learned, though, and went back to their pity party ways. A week later, Dear Yu's Real account posted a new video. There was my mother, looking frail, lying on a bed. Dear fans, I'm sorry I made my younger daughter claim she was Dear You because I had no choice. I'm very sick and need money for treatment, but my older daughter is ungrateful and never gives a dime. I had to have my younger daughter earn it, my mother said, coughing dramatically while clutching her chest. Had I known my older daughter would grow up heartless, I would have smothered her at birth. Beside her, Mia had tears streaming down her face. Sis, hate me if you want, ignore me, but Mom, you can't just abandon her. You can't forsake family for your everlasting friendship with Sophie. Does Sophie make you so much money that now you're willing to leave your poor, sick mother behind? Even the best planner is pathetic if ungrateful. After watching the video, Grandma shook her head. No new tricks, every time it's pity acts. Mia's been spoiled. Sophie and I chuckled. Dear Yu's account squandering fans' trust before meant that this pity attempt didn't sway the fans much, with most staying neutral, avoiding taking sides. Some clueless bystanders started leaving a bunch of negative comments on our posts. What good is being talented if you're not filial? You don't deserve to be human. You don't acknowledge your own mom. Do you have any sense of family? Watch out. Your kids might treat you the same way when they grow up. Your mom's sick, and you can't give her some money? I've built a tough skin over the years dealing with my mother. So these nasty comments don't affect me at all now. I didn't rush to explain. I let my mother and Mia stir things up online for a few days before I calmly responded with a new video on my account. Sorry, folks, for the drama you've witnessed lately. First off, to the accusations on the account, I want to ask Emily, have you forgotten 10 years ago you signed a document giving me up for adoption? You abandoned your own child. I held up a copy of the document on camera, and my mother's signature was clear as day. Forgotten about 10 years ago? How about 2 years ago when Grandma needed surgery after a car accident? I begged you at your doorstep for money, and you had security kick me out. Remember that? Need me to call those guards as witnesses? Second, Emily claims she's seriously ill and needs money, demanding $500,000 from the daughter she left. Here's what I found. Emily's deep in debt from gambling and wants me to bail her out, not help with medical bills. I took time investigating and discovered she's in a financial mess. I'm thankful she ditched me before. I showed her debt documents with her signature and fingerprints too. Third, Mia, questioning my filial piety. How about yours? Have you ever respected your grandma? You didn't visit or help when she was hospitalized. Heard of the boy who cried wolf? Don't take your followers for fools. This is my last response to the account, no more replies. With the truth out, Sophie and I kept our content coming unfazed. Meanwhile, the account got swamped with reports and was permanently banned from TikTok. My mother and Mia tried creating more accounts, but no one fell for their antics again. Fans reported every new account they attempted. Their fails didn't stop there. They showed up at my office twice to cause trouble, but were swiftly sent packing by my feisty grandma. The first time, Mia faked tears to get money from Grandma. But Grandma flipped the script and clutched me, pretending to need medical help, asking Mia to pay. The second time, my mother went off on Grandma, who put on a stellar performance, crying out for justice, drawing a crowd, pretending to dodge blows. Against shameless people like them, you fight back with a little magic of your own. As long as my grandma's here, they don't stand a chance. Our account got back on track, and we added a few more team members. I handed Sophie my company's card statement with its impressive numbers. Sophie, I signed you up for a prep class, no excuses, study well, and take the college entrance exam. Sophie almost cried out, Emma, I love you so much. As the big boss here, I can't let you have just a high school diploma. So back to school you go. I had everything packed for her, from books to supplies. Seriously, Emma? I'm the soul of our account. We'll watch if I'm off studying. She tugged at my sleeve, looking forlorn. I pulled our fan group a few days back. Over 80% said Grandma's part is their favorite, but kindly pass in one go this time. No retakes, all right? The next day, Grandma and I dropped Sophie off at school. Missing the college exam was a regret she never voiced, but I understood. She had a good academic foundation but slacked off. Once she buckled down, her scores shot up quickly. A year later, she passed the arts exams and joined my university, becoming my junior. When she got her acceptance letter, we hit a bar. Drunk, she hugged me, alternating between laughter and tears. Emma, I wanted to go to college so much. Tagging along with you on weekends made me so jealous, but I never told anyone. Even my parents gave up on me. But you didn't. In this year of prep, I wanted to quit so many times. If it weren't for your support, pushing me, I'd have given up again. I must have saved the galaxy in my past life to meet you as my best friend. I hugged her back. Same here. How lucky I am to have you as my best friend this time around. Not long after, Mia reached out to me a few more times. She complained that my mother, trying to escape gambling debts, was planning to sell her. Crying, she begged me to let her join the studio that Sophie and I had built. She wanted to create a sister duo brand with me. I flat out refused. No way am I letting you mess up the account that Sophie and I worked so hard to build. Sure enough, after I refused, Mia showed her true colors. She cursed me and wished for Sophie's studio to fail. As our account's fame grew online, Mia took on the persona of the twin sister of Little Grass and started explicit live streams on TikTok, attracting a crowd of middle-aged male fans. When Sophie found out, she was furious and contacted a lawyer immediately, ready to legally battle Mia to protect my reputation. In my mother's eyes, choosing Mia and abandoning me seemed like the best investment. I'm not sure what they discussed, but it must have gone south. Soon, my mother and Mia started a massive online feud. The usual stuff. My mother accused her daughter of being ungrateful. This time, Mia was the target. Mia isn't one to back down easily. She publicly cut ties with my mother online and asked her top fan to step in. After he did, my mother's account got deleted and she vanished. I have no idea what happened to her. Yet again, my mother disappeared, and Mia didn't have many good days ahead either. Rumor has it that some wives of Mia's top fans heard about her sketchy offline relationships with their husbands. They banded together, confronted Mia, and caught her red-handed. It was a wild scene. It even made the news. After that, Mia's Little Grass's twin sister account got banned. Mia faded completely from her fans' view online. For these dramas, I can only sigh. When people come together for profit, even a mother and daughter can become enemies over it. They'll never understand my friendship with Sophie or the love I share with my grandma. After all, only by giving a true heart can you earn another in return.